What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? What a day. Just when you thought Panic at the Disco was a real thing, yeah, she was heading down fast. But before we get started, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So, as we talked about yesterday, I said that Mr. Powell had to come on and talk about rates today. And he did that at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today. He came on and talked, did a testimony essentially about the rates and what was going on essentially with the Fed, right? Being said, he came out, and as expected, I expected him to come out and just reiterate what he's been reiterating over the past several different times he has come on the horn, was that he is not going to adjust rates, even though there has been some kind of inflation a little bit over the past couple weeks. He kind of downplayed it and said, that's just going to happen with the pandemic. But in his standpoint, there was no point in raising stuff, essentially until everybody would eventually get to that point, right? So this goes essentially in favor with all different income level classes, right? So being said, even other different groups, right? If the lower class, if they are not ready for new rate hikes, Powell essentially said that he will not eventually hike any of the rates. Being said, this could take a long time before they raise rates, but also in the same category, right? You also have to expect, if they are trying to keep that 2% average, that eventually rates are going to become or get to ridiculous high numbers to essentially average all the years into that 2% average range. But being said, today, right, we sunk hard. Let's just go ahead and pull up the charts because you got to get a visual on how bad we sunk today. For historical records, we want to see this. This isn't very historical in my mind, because if you have lived through March of 2020 and of April and hitting limit downs every other day, this was hardly anything. But nonetheless, we opened up and we did sell off really hard out the gate today. I don't even believe there was a pump today. I think we opened up flat after a drop overnight, and then we just tanked. And then Powell came on the horn, and he started talking about inflation rates. So we had about a half an hour of just straight selling. There were a lot of good dip buys, There wasn't sure enough, though, on the 4 hour. If we go to the SPY on the 4 hour, the 4 actually had a nice channel, so it hit that channel perfectly and bounced up. Coincidence? Maybe. Otherwise, it hit the bottom of the channel, hit a good support. Again, Powell came out, talked about rates. He said everything was fine, and inflation and everything. He's not seeing any of that stuff. Again, reiterating everything he said. Then we started popping up. Tesla being one of them. Tesla started flying back. It came screaming down to 619, and now it's just back up. It's reclaiming all the loss over the past 2 days. Again, expected. Tesla has a cult following, right? It's not going to sink hard, right? I was looking about coming into today. I was looking about that 670. I think it was 679 was what I was thinking, but then I was like, maybe it was 650. Nonetheless, I can guess all day. It hit 619. It came screaming down. I know a lot of people were talking about going to 600 and even 400. I was like, there's no way. Just in my mind, there's no other way that could be possible. I mean, if Powell came out and said that there were rate hikes, yes, I could possibly see a 400 at that point, but it did not. Again, as expected, he just reiterated what he's been essentially claiming this whole time. So Tesla popped right back up. The whole market after that is just start popping back up. QQQ had a big pop up, gap up. Looks like we might get a little rejection here on this 200, which is typical. This is typically not a good sign with all these EMAs pointing down, these big candles screaming up. We definitely have to see how we open tomorrow. So I don't think we're 100% out of the clear, but definitely a good sign. We got the reiteration, right? Everybody, I think there's a lot of other different YouTubers that talk about a crash in rates and inflation and all these things, and just keep hammering it in the market, right? So all retail investors and stuff are thinking that there's going to be this huge crash. There will not be, not at this point. Again, but when rates are adjusted to average this year to a 2% average, I think at that point, we are going to have a major correction at that point. Again, we don't know. Powell really didn't give a lot of information on when that was. Again, it's hard to kind of gauge that kind of stuff, right? Because you have a historical event, the pandemic, and you're trying to understand how you're going to adjust things. We got the stimulus signed. Hopefully it gets signed by the Senate. Apparently it's not going to be all said and done until the middle of March for whatever reason. But being said, the market is looking good. If we open up tomorrow, we're going to run high. We're going to run back to all-time highs like I was talking about before. I did go over that on the Sunday weekly update that I was looking for the rates to stay the same and then go to all-time highs. At that point, possibly cool off a little bit, retest, and then start screaming March and April. They are historically bullish. For whatever reason, I was thinking March was a more bearish essentially month in general, but on average, I did look that up last night. On average, March is also bullish as well. It's not saying that it can't be bearish. Obviously, last year bearish, but April is very historically bullish. So, being said, I think that today might have been the dip, right? If you were trying to get in anything today might have been the dip. The VIX came down today. On the 4 hour doesn't look the greatest, but the good thing on the 1 hour, it actually looks like it broke the channel and is retesting, which is a good sign. So it looks like it could be selling off. The metals kind of just flat today. TLT is still falling. We'll have to see how TLT plays out. Again, everything after hours is looking good. Tesla would be actually great for a continuation tomorrow. I think we can really go screaming back up to 800 tomorrow if it doesn't gap up overnight. I wanted to get in this, but it kind of waited last minute to get over this 20, so I didn't want to get in. Tomorrow may be an opportunity to do that, and then play the continuation on Tesla. Square had earnings after hour. It did tank. It made some great profits off of Bitcoin, like I was projecting. Again, not sure why it did sell off. Probably forward guidance is normally what is killing this. It's probably what perhaps saved them. I don't know, because they made a lot of money off of Bitcoin transactions. But being said, it might be a good dip if we turn around and run or let this sell off and kind of stagnate, or if it opens up flat in the same zone tomorrow, possibly grab it, because I know there is markers for 330, a lot of price targets for 330 that came out. So that one could be interesting. Airbnb, waiting for Thursday on this one. If this one does tank on Thursday, I'll be looking to grab leaps on Airbnb. But again, waiting till after earnings for that to happen. Apple, I mean, all the big tech is looking primed, right? All the rates, everything big tech was worried about the rates. If the rates happen, everything would normalize and these growth stocks will come crashing down. That's why we started to see that move down. But everything is fine and dandy at the moment. Current state, we are good. I think all big tech is going to fly tomorrow, which I love because that's what I like primarily trading. I don't like really trading the spec stocks. There's just too much. There's too much risk involved in that stuff and holding that stuff for long periods of time. But I do like big tech, so I'm excited about that. Facebook has just been holding well. I don't know if there's news, but it didn't even sell off today, so there must have been some kind of news out. Facebook will be good for a continuation. BYD, we're waiting for that to come down. Etsy. I mean, honestly, everything. I mean, Disney's just been killing it and going to continue to run, especially with the parks and everything. Value stock, if you were able to grab it down there, that would have been perfect. But you pushing up. Planter. Actually, Took more positions in this today. I loaded up on shares and grabbed a leap for this one. I'm looking to ride this one out. NNDM, still have this position. Saw some red. Everybody essentially saw red today, right? Unless you were completely out of the market, you didn't see any red, but still an NNDM. Looking for this to continue for the year, especially with the way everything is. I think this one will still rocket. So we just added more fuel to the fire. As far as growth stocks moving forward to this point. Again, when we get the rate changes, again, just the pandemic itself is having some fluctuations with those numbers. So just be aware of that. So we might get some like random bleed off like this eventually down the road, but ultimately just be aware of that. Fastly pushing back up, which is great to see. Everything is just pushing back up. The best thing right now is just to, again, if we open up at a good point tomorrow, is to look for your high conviction stocks and get ready, I think, for this bull train that we're about ready to go on. I think this was just confirmation in my mind that I've been talking about on Sunday in what we're going to see. So being said, a lot of these still looking good. ALM still dragging a little bit. Planet 13, I wanted to grab this today. I kind of held off though. I wanted everything to kind of play out. That's why I didn't grab more than I grabbed a Planter and I grabbed Spot today on the dip. Everything else I kind of just held off, still holding the very good company here. I'm waiting for that news should be coming out next week. I'm so excited to see this thing start moving again. Evogen, it took a nice dip. Wow, it dipped all the way down to 5. I didn't even realize that. That was a nice dip today. Workhorse, by the way, after hours, did not win the contract. So if you are in Workhorse, they didn't win that contract. So they tanked all the way down to like $10. But being said, CRMT, a takedown of $3. Man, I really missed out because I didn't catch any of these dips on these today. Those would have been fantastic dip buys. See, so I missed out on a lot. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of alarms going off at one time, so it was hard. And considering TOS isn't the greatest on alarms right now, there's some kind of disconnect there. But nonetheless, crisp, everything is just like good dips, right? So it's right now it's just primarily looking at your high conviction. I think they merged, and so they sold off after hours. So a lot of people were glad they sold on that on CCIV. Again, I didn't believe in CCIV. A lot of the EVs right now, if it's not Tesla, like I think you're really risking it. Bluebird has been flying up. Actually, I've been watching this and wondering where I was. NGA, I did sell my small position in NGA on this morning on the push up. So I sold out of that, and I sold out of Tesla on when it re-pushed up because I wasn't sure if it was going to sell. So I did take some red on that. But again, I reallocated all those funds into spots and into Spot in the Planter. So those are the two moves I made today, or the couple moves I made today, sorry. And Spot, as soon as I saw this tank like this, I jumped right in Spot. Spot is a fantastic company. I do podcasts and stuff for my other show, so seeing this, it's really exciting because I think we're only scraping the surface on Spot. I think Spot has got a long ways to grow, especially this year. But being said, let's see, what else do we have? AMD. There was a lot of good dip buys. Snap, I can't believe I missed Snap. If Snap ever sells off, I've always said this, and I didn't take my own advice today. I saw it hanging out here. I was like, man, I should grab some Snap leaps. And then it had this monstrous move today. And I was a little upset. This thing, it's almost a 25% move in one day. It's just absurd. Because volatility is not gone. We definitely have to see how we open tomorrow. Value stocks are definitely in play. Airbnb is kind of my value play, a recovery stock play. Again, Workhorse tanked today after not winning that contract. We'll see how much this actually tanks even more. I think that was their primary breadwinner. If they didn't get it, I think that's why it tanked so hard today. That was their one contract they were trying to get. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually dived down to 5. possibly scoop it up then until they find some new contract. Adobe, no. Walmart is still selling off pretty bad. Baby YF, I did sell this in the morning like I said I would. Just trying to liquidate and reposition myself for this run. Let's see here. Again, there was a lot of good sell-offs today. I think the biggest thing, airlines still held through everything today, which was surprising. Or some airlines did, not all of them. I'm trying to think here, skills. Yeah, so right now, with the way everything is, hopefully everything starts to get moving and stuff. As far as beta stocks, and I'm going to start focusing again more on beta because that's my wheelhouse. I like a lot of beta. I have been trending a lot of pennies, a lot of specs lately. That being said, today was one of those days that really made you think about your risk management, right? I've been in pennies, but not high conviction pennies. Like my high conviction pennies are like Planet 13 and the Very Good Butcher and what is that other one? And Evogen. But being said, those are my high conviction ones. I wasn't holding any of those, so I just excuse me, I was holding the Very Good Company, so I did keep that one. But ultimately, if it wasn't that, I just got rid of it. Again, focusing on my high conviction. I think now we're getting into that bull market. We're going to get into a big bull push here. Again, if it confirms tomorrow, we're going to really run. Look for value stocks. I've been looking for some. I did have the AMC. It was still running today. Had a nice run. Still pushing up. I have a leap. I'm trying to run this into see if we actually head back to those old numbers on AMC. AMC had some great numbers before. I think it was like a $30, $40 stock at one point. That was just recently, but yeah, it was like a $30 stock before. So I'm hoping that we do get a push like that. But we'll see what happens on that. But ultimately, this looks good. We're above on the 20 EMA on the daily, so that's definitely a plus on that. So AMC continuation. WWE is finally pushing up. It held so well even after all this craziness, and now it's finally starting to push. Once it breaks that 200, we'll head back up. Excited about that one too. We'll have to see. Tilray still in this one again, holding for the year. I think Bitcoin has really just been selling hardcore lately. We're up to almost 60 now. We're down to 45,000 now. Bitcoin's definitely plummeted and taken a major hit. We'll have to see how that goes. 47. Yeah, it's come down quite a bit. But Bitcoin's taken a big hit. Nonetheless, again, there's a lot of continuations. I think, again, my focus is back on beta stocks, Apple, Facebook, Tesla, Square, Planter, NNDM. All my high conviction ones are going until tomorrow. So if I can add more, I'll add more. I think right now I'm kind of spread tight because I shifted my focus on Planter and Spots. So I think those are my big ones right now. We'll definitely have to see going in if I can focus on another high value stock for this reversal. So we'll definitely have to see on that one. But this recovery, I think everybody's kind of getting over the whole fear of the pandemic. That's been reiterated many different times. I think people are getting over it. The vaccine, people are getting vaccinated. People are ready to rock and roll. I think, again, depending how we open up tomorrow, right now the market is kind of struggling here. It is hitting that top end. So we'll see if we gap up over this. We gap up over this, I think we're gone. And I think Tesla is going to be the leader on this one. It's already making up a lot of ground already. You can really see us gap and then continue up, retest for all-time highs at that point. So get ready for that. Tesla, I think, has got a big year. Maybe not so much second quarter, but I think the rest of the year, Tesla's really going to kill it this year as well. So being said, guys, remember to manage your risk, take care, have fun, high conviction stocks only. Specs are great, whatever. But if you're not quick in and out, you're going to get destroyed on days like today. Or even if there's a merchant that doesn't go through, because Lucid is a perfect example of that too. Or it does go through and then it just bottoms out. So being said, take care, and I will see you guys later.